Welcome back to another episode of the Creative Coach YouTube/podcast. Today, I'm talking about diversifying your income as a creative entrepreneur. When I say diversifying your income, what I'm talking about isn't necessarily passive income streams, though I am going to touch on them. I'm talking about how can you make money in other industries with your current skill set. So one of the ways that I did this personally was, if you've watched my origin story, my villain origin story video, you know that I started doing video work working in weddings. I was very niched into weddings. And listen, weddings is a crazy industry, and it's really hard to make decent money in that industry. It is highly competitive, highly saturated, and it's difficult. It's a grind to work in the wedding industry. And I reached a good level of success in the wedding industry, but I also knew that it could not be my only source of income, because when 2020 rolled around, it was completely taken away. And that was a wake-up call for me that I had to start diversifying my income streams to survive, to recession-proof my business, to pandemic-proof my business, to life-proof my business. I had to get it together. So around that time, I started picking up corporate work because my video skill set transitions into anything that involves a camera, photography, videography, everything. So I started picking up corporate work and filming branding sessions for companies, doing promotional films, short social media films, commercials. And soon that led into people contacting me about working on indie film sets and just doing all kinds of stuff with a camera. And that was one of the easiest ways for me to diversify my income, was using my existing skill set and just finding other industries to work in instead of just niching down into weddings. Quick caveat on niching. I'm not a fan of niching. And this can be controversial. So a lot of people say the riches are in the niches. The riches are in the niches. The riches are in the niches. Is it niche or is it niche? The riches are in the niches. And I don't believe in that necessarily. Now, I think there's a time and a place for niching down. I think once you are established and you have so much demand that you can establish yourself as the best in something, that's when you can niche. But niching is not for people who are struggling to get by. So, for example, I know a web designer who does graphic and web design, and they niched into real estate at the beginning of their career. They were like, I am a real estate graphic and web designer. And they, that was their niche, was real estate. And they struggled. And I told her one day, I was like, why did you niche into real estate? And why won't you work with people from other industries? And she was like, what's my niche? And I'm supposed to niche. And if I niche, I'll get rich. And I was like, no, honey, you're not getting rich. And you're niched so specifically into something that other people don't think they're allowed to work with you and that you do anything else. And when she started to open up her offerings to other industries, she saw a huge influx because she is a very talented designer. And her demand has now risen to the point where she could go niche into something and would do well. But niching is not for people who are just getting started or people who are multi-passionate like me. I didn't want to do just weddings. I wanted to do other things and get creative and explore all the other things that you can make films about. And that's what I did. So if you're somebody who feels a certain way about niching, maybe you really want to or you really don't want to, that's my 2 cents on it. Take it or leave it. Back to diversifying your income. There are other ways to diversify your income outside of just what your existing skill set is. So for me, something I've always been passionate about is education and helping others. I'm a natural born educator. I love to teach and I love to help. And there's some people that that's their thing and some people that that isn't their thing. But I do think education is a great way to help other people and to make a little bit of extra cash. Now, I do want to clarify that There's a lot of really bogus educators out there. I've met people who call themselves business coaches who have never run a business. They took a course and now they call themselves a business coach. But at the end of the day, you've never run a business. How can you coach on that? And so if you're going to go the education route, make it something that you've personally done or achieved or accomplished or are knowledgeable about. Don't be a bogus educator, please. Within the education market, there's lots of different ways that you can make some money. So monetizing a YouTube account, point in case, creating e-courses, doing one-on-one coaching, doing live coaching, starting masterminds, doing yearly coaching containers. There's lots of different ways you can go about this that are all relatively simple if you have the time to really put it into developing a good course that's going to get people results. Other ways to diversify your income is through passive income streams. And this is a super hot topic right now, but passive income streams are things that don't necessarily take a lot of your time. However, I have found that a lot of passive income streams cost a lot of money and a huge time investment to get started. But once they're established, you don't work in them every single day, all day, every day, like you would your active business or a full-time job or something like that. So when you think passive income, think real estate investing, creating Amazon shops, selling digital products, selling prints, and things like that. There's an investment to get it started, but once it's rolling, you can either afford to hire people to run it for you, or it just doesn't take a ton of time, or it only takes maintenance periodically. With passive income streams, again, they do take a lot of money to get started. If you're going to sell products online, or you're going to sell prints or stock video or whatever, it costs a lot of money for you to advertise that thing. And a lot of your income from the product or service or download that you're going to sell is going to be reinvested into the advertising. So when you hear people say, make $100,000 a year on selling an e-course, you might make $100,000 a year, but you're going to reinvest $90,000 of that back into marketing that course. But again, $10,000 a year passively is nothing to laugh at. I just want to be real and prepare you for the fact that passive income streams aren't actually that passive, and they do typically require a large financial investment. But once you get them up and running, they do pretty well. Another way to diversify your income is to learn a whole nother skill or trade. This is very time consuming, and if you're actively entrepreneuring or solopreneuring, spending a bunch of time learning a new skill may or may not be something you can handle right now. But if your business that you're working right now, or your creative agency or whatever you're doing is to the point where you can start to bring on help and make your current business a little bit more passive, you can start to pick up other things and make more money. I really do find this with, web designers. It's not that big of a leap to start learning how to do app design. And these are things you can bundle with your own services. If you're a photographer, learn to do video. If you're a videographer, learn to do photo. These are really complementary skills that you can start to merge together to offer more and recession-proof your business.